Red Leg Nation, Trevor here with Red Leg Patriot. Today what I got for you is a reassembly and lubrication video of the Rock Island Armory VR80 12 gauge shotgun. That is a mouthful, holy crap. So I had some comments in my disassembly video that was asking me to make this video just for reference. So I want to go ahead and answer the request of you guys and put this together for you. Before I get into the reassembly portion of this gun, I want to go ahead and show you what it is that Red Leg Patriot uses as far as grease, oil, rust preventative, just to show you some options. It's not the end all be all. This is just a cleaner slash lubricating products that Red Leg Patriot uses for its firearms for its clients. So at this point right now, just to give you an overview, the gun has been obviously disassembled and ultrasonic cleaned. It's got some love in. It's ready to go back to get put back together and get some rust prevention on the exterior of it. So starting off, as far as grease, this is what we get it in. That's what it looks like. Smells just like grease. Doesn't have a crazy strong smell. It's actually almost non-existent unless you get up close to it. But what it is Vortex grease. Okay, this stuff is awesome. All right, if I run out, my next go-to is Weapon Shield, or I will use the Impro 7 synthetic. It's a white grease, white lithium grease. But the Vortex grease is awesome. It does have a temperature range of 85 to 700. This stuff is pretty awesome. I've used it on a lot of guns for my clients and a lot of my own guns. This is the only grease that I use on my guns. I have never once had an issue with it gunking. I know one of you guys is going to watch this and is going to make that comment. I have never once had an issue with that grease gunking. Of course, I can't speak if you go and apply giant globs. Yeah, most likely it's going to gunk up and have some malfunctions for you. But I do light coatings and never had an issue. So that's what we use for grease. Now, as far as oil, I swear by these needle nose little bottles. They're very cheap on Amazon, but I highly recommend that you invest in some of these. I have a bunch of them. I have these for my cleaning, for the different firearm platforms, rimfire, shotguns, anything. It helps me to control money save on the product, and it's easier to apply it to whatever it is, whether it be a patch or, in this case, I use this to get down into like fire control groups on inside of receivers and be able to oil exactly what it is that I want and be able to control how much oil comes out, so you don't have that crappy excess oil pouring out from all the bores on the receivers. So what it looks like when you go to buy it, this is what it looks like, okay? I will say for Weapon Shield, it does have a strong cinnamon smell, so if you don't like cinnamon, it's probably not for you. Now, as far as rust prevention, one of the questions that I typically ask my clients is this going to be something that you're going to go shoot here soon, or is this going to be something that's going to be in long-term storage? Reason that I ask that is that will determine what kind of rust prevention I put on your gun. Most of the time, I stick with Birchwood Casey Barricade. This stuff is awesome. It's a reputable company, and it's not crazy expensive. But it's like a spray paint, right? It makes it so easy to apply, wipe off the excess, and it is an awesome product. I do suggest this if you're looking for something, just for some options as far as rust prevention. This stuff is pretty good. My other one, I will use this for long-term storage. I also use it more so if I have a project I'm waiting on parts or something I have to set aside until I can complete it. I put this on there, and this stuff is pretty good. Brownell's Polar Active Rust Preventive number 2. I know I used to use, holy smokes, I had a brain fart. I have it right here. Ballistol. Wow. Sorry guys, it is 3 in the morning right now, trying to knock stuff out for Red Leg Nation. Ballistol is another thing that I use. I like it because it leaves a light silicone coating on the gun, So if I don't have this, I will definitely use that as a long-term rust preventative storage. So there's that. Now, as far as the cleaner, what we use for barrels, punch bores on all different kinds of guns. Again, we all go, Red Lake Patriot goes back to Vortec. We use Vortec products, and they come in all different cleaning solutions depending on what the gun is. So obviously this is a shotgun, right? So I'm using the shotgun blend. What I love about the Vortec products is as you're punching patches through the bore, it's going to tell you when it's clean, right? They also have right here, they have what they call these proof positive nylon brushes. So after you're sitting there, you got something that's real cruddy, got a crap ton of carbons, caked in there. Clean it out. One of the issues that you'll see is that the bore might look clean, but you still have that like blue color that's coming out in your patch. False positive. So once you clean it looks clean, you can put one of these on your cleaning rod and put a patch through, and it'll give you a true indication of if it's clean or not. So that is usually that's one of my last moves as far as cleaning boards. The other thing that's cool about this is that they say in the directions of the product that, and this is for all of them, they have one for rimfire, they have the eliminator, that's what I use for everything outside of rimfire and shotgun platforms. But this counts as a rust preventative itself, lasts up to 2 weeks. So just bear that in mind, but this stuff is pretty awesome if you're looking for some suggestions on a cleaning product. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump right into the assembly and the lubrication of this gun. The lower, I've already put the stock on. I really don't think that I need to explain that, but if I do, that's okay. It's not a big deal. So just like any other AR, there's a bolt that secures the grip into the receiver, or the lower, excuse me. And then there is a bolt in the back here that sits against a metal plate that secures the stock into the buffer tube. And then this is just a cover plate. You can see that in disassembly video. It's nothing crazy. There's a screw that goes into the cover plate and a screw that goes into the back side of the rubber padding. Okay. So now we'll set that aside and we'll get to the upper. Now, as far as lubrication on this upper, it depends on what the item is that determines whether or not I put grease or if I put oil on here. Majority of the time I use grease. Okay, so for this, as you see right here, these are the channels that the bolt carrier is going to be riding, right? So this is face the front of the receiver, so here's the barrel, right? This is the deadly end. So there are channels along the inside of this upper, okay? You want to grease those. Pretty much anything that you see wear, right? So metal on metal is what that means. That means there's a friction point there. That's going to be something that you want to grease. Anything bare metal should get some kind of lubrication, okay? Protect it from rusting. Or it's a high friction area and you're going to need that so it will function properly. So grease the channels, okay? On this gun in particular, this Coyote Cerakote, whatever color you want to call it, brown, I don't care. Where the takedown pins go, okay? That Cerakote has added extra material and has made this gun a pain in the butt to separate from the upper from the lower. So I have greased that as well as greased the inside because there's also that Cerakote was on the inside and it's caused the takedown pins to be ridiculous to reinsert. So outside of that, this is where the barrel, this is going to be sitting right underneath. It's going to be sitting right here, okay, on the barrel. So, and then there's metal on metal there. Obviously, like I said, metal on metal, want to get some grease on there. Now on the inside of this receiver, okay, so the ejection port right here, the inside of the upper lip, there is wear right there. I'm just going to insert this just to show you, okay. You can see that little nub right here at the front of the barrel, or at the back of the barrel, I should say. That's where that wear is coming from. So you just want to make sure that you grease that. There is also wear right here, okay? right here on the front face. That's where the back side of this barrel meets the upper receiver. So just grease that. There's also right here, hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, you can see that. It almost looks white against the brown. Alright, you want to grease that as well. Alright, and that is it, guys. That is it for the upper. So I'll go ahead and I will set this aside. Now the bolt. This is the carrier. This whole thing gets greased. The whole thing. Obviously there's wear here. This is as it's moving back and forth, as it's cycling, right? So as it's cycling, grease the whole thing. Okay, not oil, grease it. The bolt itself, and I'm sure I'm gonna get some hate comments for doing this. I don't like oiling the bolt. I like put a light layer of grease on this bolt. Not on the inside, on the exterior part of the bolt. I don't grease. Awesome, now I just did it. I don't grease the bolt face. I will put a light layer of oil on the bolt face, but I don't grease the bolt face. I will make sure I grease the contact point where it sits on the carrier, which I'll show you in just a second, okay? But as far as the inside of the bolt, I will use my awesome little bottle and I will put oil on the inside. I've already done it, so I'm not doing it now. And I will oil the inside, and I'll also put a drop or two on the spring on the firing pin right there. And that is it for that. So like I said, I've already gone ahead and lubricated it. It's got the exterior grease, interior, it's got a little bit of oil, bolt face, very, very lightly. I mean, some people do it, some people don't. I just put a light layer of oil on the front, okay? Now going back to installing this on the bolt carrier itself, you see as this moves back and forth, right? That's why it's important that you want to grease where it sits on the bolt carrier. So we'll go ahead and we will take the upper, right, set these channels, just line it up with the carrier, insert that in there, and we can go ahead and put that down. Now, hopefully you can see this. There's a, yeah, there you go. There's a hole. See where my hand is moving? There's a hole in between the carrier and the bolt itself, okay? There's a ball inside of there. You can set that down. Now pick up your charging handle. The underside of the charging handle, how do you tell what's the bottom? There's an indent. There's also an indent in the front portion of it. If you can see here, like I said, there's a ball on the inside. This only goes in one way. The indent faces down, okay? Push it in. Move this baby's butt, okay? From this point, we can go ahead and we can install our barrel. Now, as I'm doing this, I want to point out, again, lining that notch at the end of the barrel with the receiver. There's a hole here at the bottom of the upper receiver. There's also a hole here at the bottom of the barrel. Make sure it's seated and flush against the upper receiver when you install this, okay? Now we can take our two screws. They're exactly the same, okay? Go ahead and install these. Before you completely tighten it down, make sure again that it is flush and seated inside of the upper receiver. And just hand tighten it, guys. Now install the second one. Just sits right on top. Same thing, just hand tighten it. Okay, barrel's good to go. Good to go. Now you can start installing your gas system, okay? So, when you go to install this, if you push this all the way back, obviously your bolt's not going to be fully seated. If you leave it like this and you try to install the rest of the gas system, when you get to installing the split ring, you're going to be like, oh, what's going on? Because the cover, this part that's supposed to secure it, is not going to cover it, and it's not going to stay there. So make sure that when you're doing this, your bolt is flush and it is all the way forward so your gun's not out of battery, okay? You start assembling the next portions of the gas system. Okay, now at this part, to install the split ring, push back slightly. All right, split rings go here. To make it easier, holy smokes. There we go. All right, push that up. Now you can hold the bolt forward. Make sure it's seated. And install this little locking nut, screw, whatever you want to call it. There you go. Once gas system's fully installed, you can install the handguard. Make sure that the handguard is flush and seated with the upper. Get your shroud, not your suppressor, your shroud. There. Now with the lower, okay, lowers are easy, not really much to it, okay. Take your handy little needle nose oiler, okay. These springs inside here, your fire group, right, your control. Each of those springs just gets a drop of oil. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. The spring on your bolt catch right here, right? That's what gives it its tension. It gets one drop of oil. Just move it around a little bit, okay? Now, because this gun's a pain in the butt, I've also greased these takedown pins to try to help mitigate it being a pain in the butt. And that's pretty much it, guys. There's not really much else to that. So I just want to make sure that the springs have a little bit of oil so that it will function. Got the bolt catch has a drop of oil, and the takedown pins. Even if they weren't, just so you guys are aware, just what we do. Even if these takedown pins weren't a pain in the butt, I still give it a little bit of light layer of grease regardless. So at this point, we can go ahead and put it back together. Pain in the butt, man. There we go. 1, 2. I love that sound. So at this point, we'll go ahead, we'll wipe down the exterior of the gun. I will apply the rust prevention. And I will reinstall the sights and the other accessories that came with the gun. If you guys like the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. If there's anything that you would like us in the future to show you on other guns, please let us know. We will do what we can to accommodate you guys. But I hope you guys learned something. Any comments, suggestions, complaints, put them in the comments below. But you guys stay safe, and as always, guys, a clean gun is a happy gun. We'll catch you all in the next one.